welcome to BCC Virtual Racing and tonight's race, the Ocean, what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called, the Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop or something like that. Anyway, from Glasgow Green Cycle Club, in fact it's on screen there, I should see it, Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop. It is 38.2 kilometers long, 2 laps for categories A, B and C, 1 lap for category D. Total climbing 312 meters for the 2 laps, so roughly 146 meters per lap. So the course will suit those with high power to weight ratios, the high watts per kilo. The hill itself is about a 67 meter climb, roughly at around 8 kilometers into the course. So we are starting in 2 minutes 12 seconds with category B as normal, where the bulk of the field is. 12 riders from BCC, about 19 in total, and a lot to race for tonight. Things are changing in the league as we approach the end of the Winter League and spring is on its way, now the 1st of March, with Kalik pulling into the lead with 157 points over Davis at 153. But charging up behind is Campbell at 150, Lancia at 148 in the overall competition, and in the plate competition even closer with Angus Stoneham on 73, May on 73, Jury on 72 and Littlewood on 71.5. So coming back to the overall competition, Kalik will be looking for another win this evening, though of note he didn't win last race. That was a fantastic win by Lancia. Just beat him on the sprint at the end, and in fact, if I remember correctly, coming up to that sprint, Kalik sort of switched off and gave up a bit, but nonetheless, no doubt he was tired. So everything to race for in tonight's competition, and I expect the course will suit, let's have a look. Well, it could suit Kalik, but let's see how well he does anyway. And of course, with Davis no longer on the top, he has won the last league, and I think the one before that, and maybe the one before that as well. He'll be looking to change the rules, of course, to make sure he does win this one. So do expect late changes from the in-house UCI committee, and we'll see what happens with that. 35 seconds to go now. Sorry, dog just opened the door. 23 seconds, so it's going to be an exciting race. Hosts this evening, GGCC as usual, and riders are starting at 1 minute intervals. Category A riders will be off already, but we'll catch up with them as soon as the race is underway. 6 seconds to go. Only 8 riders from BCC are actually on the start line right now, when in fact 12 or more have entered. Hopefully not any technical problems. Let's see who we can pick up first. There's Campbell, I think, on screen now. So we'll let these riders settle in. See what happens in a couple of minutes. We'll move up to the front and have a look at them. But coming back to the race on, where are we, Thursday evening, which was LaGuardia Loop. That was won in Cat A again by Matt Tom. In Cat B, as I said earlier, Lancia, fantastic sprint for him right at the end, left Kalik standing. Davis came in 3rd place and only just ahead of Empson. So Empson improving rapidly, or is it Davis just getting weaker? I'm not really quite sure what's going on there, but something certainly changing. In Cat C, didn't see him all race. It might just have been one of those unusual Zwift oddities that occurs every now and again. But Chris Reed, yet again, won in category C, followed closely by Nixon, and in category D only Telford racing, and I think he may well be the only rider racing tonight in category D, so he should come 1st, 2nd and 3rd. So good luck to him. Let's have a look now and see what is going on. First part of the course a little bit undulating, but nothing too much to worry about. And as a reminder, that main hill comes in at around, I think, 7.5, 8k, something like that. Moving up to the front of category A, riders tonight, Jury and Stoneham, were the only 2 I saw entered. Not uncommon for someone to arrive at the last minute. Stoneham tends to sit near the back of the group at the start of every race. Not a bad tactic at all. Might fancy himself as a Mathieu van der Poel. Sits in the back for a bit, then shortly goes off for a massive charge off the front. And quite often wins doing that as well. There is Stoneham now on screen. 2.1k in, no lead up or no lead in on this course. 3 minutes into the race, no sign of Jury. I'm sure she's there somewhere. Move a little bit further back in the field, see if we can see her. But up front anyway, we'll have a look while he's there on screen. O'Brien looks to be leading the charge for Category B, something he has done on many occasions, only to drift further back through the field, drop off the end and end up isolated all by himself. So hopefully he won't be doing that, but you've got to admire his courage in attacking right from the start. But it is at least one way of getting the start out of the way. Back to Campbell, 250 watts, and we'll just go back through the field now. There is Empson and Lancia I saw just behind Campbell, so the two big riders, Lancia and Campbell, right next to each other as expected. Lancia will be feeling good actually from his win on Thursday evening. He'll be looking to do the same, but there is a big hill in the middle, not massive in cycling terms, but this is the sort of hill that will play on Lancia's mind, so let's see what happens with him. Davis in there as well, of course, rapidly thinking about how he can change the rules so that he can win the league. Might be a bit late for that. Kalik's not going to let you go, I don't think, and if Lancia has his way, he's not either. So Davis has everything to work for, one of the older riders in this race. Up against the young riders. There's Mayhew Smith actually, I saw him right up the front as well. That's something he tries fairly often but doesn't manage to hold on to, not like the old days when he'd frequently lead from the front. Where is he? There he is at 3 minutes 58 seconds in, 3 kilometers now gone of this 38.2 kilometer race. And behind Mayhew Smith, oh, just missed him. I just saw Kalik sneaking through. He certainly won't want to be behind Mayhew Smith. And there's Thompson actually from GGCC, our host for this evening's race. He'll be looking to beat Davis yet again. And then Shannon, Langen together. And it looks as if they are right up the front. They are indeed. Well, they're in the first group, I should say. So good for them. They'll be looking to hold on to this. Langen beat Shannon in the last race from Thursday evening by 1 minute. We'll be looking to do the same again, of course. And O'Brien, I just saw disappearing off the top of the rider list there. See if we can quickly move back and catch. We've had a break in the Category B already, and in that break is Littlewood, and he is at the moment some 28 seconds behind the leading group, so he's actually performing quite nicely at this stage. But of course, sneaking up rapidly behind him, we have some of the BCC Category C riders. But there is Littlewood on screen at the moment, 280 watts there, 3.9 kilometers in. Behind him, Nixon, one to watch as always. And although in different categories, let me just have a quick look. Nixon was about 1 minute behind Littlewood on Thursday's race. Now, is Chris Reed racing tonight, or is he using the ghost protocol yet again and disappears off my screen? There's Measham just behind Nixon as well, and somewhere in here, if Cullen is racing, there he is. So Cullen is 13 seconds further back, so he's not made the break for Category C. In fact, is behind Nixon. He finished 2 minutes behind Nixon on the last race, so at the moment he is actually holding on quite well in this group. This is a course that suits attacks. This is a course for those with a high power to weight ratio. And in category D, let me just pick up Telford. There he is, Telford, 2.7k. And I think still he is the only Cat D rider from BCC. Okay, we'll move back up to the front of the field now, see what's happening. The first riders will shortly be approaching the first climb. I'd like to get some coverage of that, particularly in category B, see what happens to the field there. Thompson on the way past, Davis, Lancia, Kalik, Campbell, Empson. There is Jury, in fact, missed her earlier on. And Stoneham, so as sort of predicted, Stoneham sitting towards the back of this pack. I think that's him there on the left with the multicoloured jersey. Jury looking relatively comfortable. She will try to hold on to this field for as long as she possibly can, and if it's a good race for her, she's more than capable of doing so, and I hope that she does. Stoneham will be thinking about where to attack, as usual. But if you're going to think about it, they are now at 6.5 kilometers. That decision point is coming, I would say, within the next 1500 meters or so. So we'll stay up towards the front of this field. This is Group 1, and I think we have a quick look behind, see what the gap is to category B. So it's 1 minute 6-7 seconds. Empson is now leading the charge by the looks of it. Empson and Campbell together. It's still Empson up the front. Let me just Zwift to calculate the times. It says a 12-second gap between category A and category B. It seems a bit unlikely at this stage, as the race has been going for 8 minutes 40 odd seconds, and these riders started 1 minute behind category A. So if that holds true, they're going to catch category A and go past them very, very quickly indeed. It is a bigger field in Cat B, of course, which is some advantage. But on occasions, Zwift does, in fact, I just saw a 26-second gap there. 1 minute 3, that's more like it. So Zwift was not calculating it properly, as expected. In fact, it looks as if Shannon is up the front there. Now that must just be the way in which Zwift is updating again, because that I cannot believe, nor would he want to be there, I don't think. But let's have a look now as the riders are approaching this climb. See what happens. Jury at 7.9k on the slight downhill at the moment. I think it's coming up here anyway. So the climb is actually part of the epic KOM, but riders don't go all the way to the top. They sort of go up part of it, then turn off. And this bridge here is often used for a finish in some of the other races. In fact, Jury is right on the very front of the entire field. Just dropping back through the pack now. Don't want to waste energy up there. No sign of the hill just yet. At 8.4 kilometers in, 11 minutes 20 seconds. And I think, let's just have a look what happens at this junction. I think it comes up on that island up ahead on the course. So let's have a quick look, see what's happening in category B. Stoneham's still there towards the, there he is, towards the rear of the field. 8.6k, 270 watts, nice power output. There's the Spruce Goose on the right hand side. Howard Hughes' a plane that only ever flew once, and for about a minute. Quite what it's doing in Watopia, I'm not really sure, but anyway, there it is. And there is Click now. Here he is, looking to get that contract renegotiated, and he's going about it in just the right way. Didn't win on Thursday, but that doesn't matter. He was second. His overall performance is there. He is ahead in the league by 4 points. Everything to race for in these last few races. I think there might be 4 left. I'll have to check that. But Campbell promisingly sitting right next to him as well. And I think, let's have a quick look. In fact, there is Jury, just hits the climb now, 10%. Let's have a quick look, see what's going on there. Stonham's pulling ahead. Jury is beginning to drift away from the leading riders. As you can see them there, just going up the climb. And we'll come back to them. I'd like to catch what's going on here in Cat B, as they now are just about to hit this climb. 67 meters in total, vertically. Not quite sure how long it is, but here we go. So there's Thompson from GGCC sitting right on the front with Khalik. Khalik fancies himself here. Is that him with the power up there? I'm not sure which rider that's over, but we're looking back. Lots of featherweight power ups coming up out at this stage. Is he managing to break away? That's the question. 5.5 watts per kilo, holding it at the front. In fact, there is a, looks like a Category A rider coming back to meet them. It is indeed. And behind, look at the length of that field. It's suddenly stretched out from one big bunch to a long line. These riders are suffering now, and they're beginning to string out, all looking for a bit of help from the rider in front. Khalik is still powering ahead, though he is not giving up. This is impressive stuff. But of course, Davis is right behind him, as is Thompson. I don't expect either of those riders to give up either. But let's see what's happening a little bit further back. Campbell's still there, great from him. Empson's still there. So the key riders in Cat B are still there. But what about Lancia? Where is he? O'Brien, in fact there is Lancia. Lancia is just beginning to drift away from the back. Only just. If he holds his position and doesn't lose any further distance on this climb, he will be able to catch up on the downhill, no doubt about that. Right behind him and right with him, actually, no, right behind him in that group just behind is O'Brien, beginning to drift away. So from his initial attack, a usual tactic, he hasn't been able to hold on yet. I wouldn't say he's broken, but he is beginning to move backwards. In fact, we'll just stay with these riders, see what happens at the top. There is Khalik again. In fact, it is Empson that's moved into the front, only just, but it's Empson and Khalik at the front, pulling away. They are in fact pulling away, only slightly. The chasing pack, let's have a look. Campbell just in the distance there. Now 10k into this race. Campbell's pulling it back. Khalik is still trying, he's not giving up. This is an impressive ride from this young rider. He is really demonstrating what he can do at this early stage of the race. So this could be a Matthew van der Poel moment when he decides to go for it. I wish he would, make it much more interesting. Look at the length of that line now. In fact, there is Campbell on screen, just towards the rear of that group, desperately trying to cling on. He often says that hills aren't his favourite things, but he's actually quite good at them. Particularly a hill of this length, it's not very long. It should suit the power that he's got, but Khalik has managed to lead his fellow BCC riders over the top. Davis takes advantage, moves into first place, just to stamp his authority and show the young Khalik what it's all about. But I think he might be the last person laughing. Let's see what happens. Campbell has managed to get back on there. Thompson is there. Empson is there as well. And as a reminder, Davis just beat Empson last time, and Empson was just ahead of Campbell. So these three riders very well matched. But behind them, what is going on? Much more interesting. Well, there's O'Brien. Where is the big man himself, the tallest rider in the field? Where is Lancia? Mayhew Smith, 21 seconds further back. It's about where I'd expect him to be at this stage. Have I missed Lancia, or is he? Hopefully he's not any further back than that. No, we must have missed him. Can't be. Certainly wouldn't believe it. So there's Mayhew Smith at 10.7k. Where is Lancia? There's O'Brien at 11.1 kilometers. Where is Lancia? Hope he hasn't disappeared. He does have technical problems every now and again. Oh, there he is. Ah, fantastic. So he's with Campbell, Empson. He has managed to get back onto that group, which is great to see. He will not want to let Kalik go, but he should be playing to his advantage, really. And the advantage will be on the flat and the downhill, like now. Oh, it's just started to climb again, but that's where he has a strength. And don't forget, when it comes to the sprint, as I think I predicted on Thursday night, if it's a long race and been a tough one, I'm going for Lancia if he's still up the front. There aren't very many people that can beat him. And while we're at this end of the course, or this end of the peloton, various groups, just having a look at Jury. So Jury has drifted away from the leading A group now. In fact, it's some 40 seconds behind the first A riders, which I would imagine, there is Stoneham, I just saw him go at the bottom of the screen. So Stoneham is at 13.4 kilometers. Next rider behind him is Jury at 13 kilometers, about a 40-second gap. So Jury, I think, will be comfortable enough with these other category A riders around her, and if she could stay with them, she'll do well. Stoneham now will be thinking about his tactics, and at what point is he going to make a move, if at all. The field, at least for him, is thinning. He's got quite a good sprint on him as well, but looking at just trying to recognize some of these other riders, looking at some of them earlier, I'm not sure he'd beat some in the sprint. Just some riders tucking into the super tuck there. 14 kilometers in, and as a reminder, category D are only racing one lap, which is 19k, so as it only has one rider, I won't be covering the finish of that particular part of the race. Instead, we'll stay up the front with the Cat A and Cat B riders, and here they are: Kalik, Davis, Campbell, Thompson, Empson, Lancia, all still together. Come on, Lancia, Campbell, this is your opportunity. This is the time to go if you're thinking about it. Take advantage, work together, make a break for it. But as is typical with BCC riders, no one's talking to each other. They're all just riding for themselves. Plenty of riders in the super tuck there, just going to come out of it now as the slope begins to level off. But if they would only work together, they could pull away. Campbell, in fact, is responding there, right up to 10.2 watts per kilo. Quite a push. There is Lancia up towards the front. Campbell sitting right in his heels though. There he is. No, that's not him. There he is. 350 watts. And behind this group, no one really in sight. So this is group 2 on the course, or group 3. There are two. There's a group A right at the front and a sort of second group A with a couple of B riders as well, and then the main B pack, which is here. In fact, those B riders may have come together, so this could be group 3 in effect. But said anyway, either way, it's the leading B pack at 14.5 kilometers on this quite steep downhill super tuck coming into play. It is a good opportunity to rest the super tuck, in all fairness, but it is also an opportunity to attack, although not much gained on a downhill. At least Kalik doesn't have to negotiate the corners. In real life, he's not the best, shall we say, descender from what I've seen. and neither has Davis, come to think about it. Campbell, I can't quite remember. So we will leave this leading B group just for the moment, see what's happening. There is O'Brien, 26 seconds in a small group of about 15 riders. O'Brien on the front of that as well, at 15.2k in 22 minutes. Group 2 of the B cat riders, and behind O'Brien, Mayhew Smith. Didn't last too long on the front. He is another 20 seconds, maybe more. Haven't got an accurate time gap at the moment, but it's at least another 20 seconds behind O'Brien, but with a group that will probably suit his riding style. Not too large, not too small. And then behind Mayhew Smith, let's see who we can pick. It should be the leading Category C riders, and we're looking for Nixon. In fact, there is Shannon. He's drifted off the back of the field a little bit here. And I'm just trying to see what the gap was between Shannon and Mayhew Smith last time. It was about a minute, and that's what it is now. But just with Shannon there is Langen, and as I mentioned earlier, Langen beat Shannon in the last race by 1 second. So that could be a good competition. But hanging on with them there, and this is nice to see actually, is Littlewood. And he was just behind Shannon and Langen by about 4 or 5 seconds last time, so he will be looking to improve his position. And as yet, let's see if I can find Nixon. I don't know if Chris Reed has entered tonight. And unfortunately, while I managed to record the commentary from last week, it for some reason failed on YouTube itself, so I kept talking about Nixon having won Category C because I couldn't see Chris Reed, so hopefully that's not the same today. There's White actually. White with Cullen in this little group here, and White and Cullen, just having a look, no, they didn't both race on Thursday night, but Cullen was about 2.5 minutes behind Nixon, so I'm assuming of course that Nixon is ahead. Is Cullen on the right bike? He is indeed. So moving back up, White and Cullen at 13.4 kilometers. No sign of Nixon yet. I suspect he is further ahead. There's Tamsin, first sign of her at 15.2k. Quite a bit behind Littlewood, I would imagine, and she often finishes close to him, but doesn't seem to be on this particular occasion. In fact, Littlewood is at least a minute ahead of Tamsin. That he is right with Shannon now, and I suspect Nixon could well be in this group. Let's see if we can see him. No, having trouble finding him. Anyway, moving back up again, Mayhew Smith now at 17k, approaching the halfway mark of this race. Oh, everyone disappears, comes back again. Let me just check. I seem to be getting some issues with the live stream again, probably my internet connection, so if it's a bit stuttery, apologies for that. Yes, in fact YouTube is saying not receiving enough video. So if you can hear this, I will upload a recording if the YouTube live stream doesn't sort itself out. Mayhew Smith, let's have a look. So Brian now at 18.4k. Oh, I was going to say all by himself, but just another glitch by the looks of it. Everyone disappeared, everyone came back again. and that normally points to internet connectivity. There's Thompson, Lancia, Campbell, Empson and Kalik all up the front. It's just started to rain on course. And it may not be much, of course, at least the riders aren't getting wet, but I suspect the algorithm of Zwift does slow the riders down a little bit in heavy rain and large amounts of surface water. But they're a tough lot, this, all in shorts and short sleeve jerseys. 19.5k, just going under the finish banner. Not the finish, of course, one more lap to go. First lap in 27 minutes, so expect another 27 minutes, if not a little bit less. We'll see what happens. This weather might have an impact, of course. And the riders now have the advantage of knowing the course. They know what's coming. So at 27, 28k roughly, that hill comes back again. In fact, it looks a bit miserable out there in that weather. So hopefully someone is thinking about how am I going to win this, rather than let it turn into yet another bunch sprint. I'm sure some riders will be calculating it, but are they brave enough to make a move? So there is Jury at 20.5k, slowly closing with the Chasing B group behind, but still with a collection of other A riders, but that is the second group of category A. And if I can have a quick look up at the front, if Zwift and the internet will behave themselves both together, that would be great. There's Stoneham. Let's see where Stoneham is. Currently second position at 21.6 kilometers. So he is looking good at the moment. And he is with, let's have a look behind him, only about 10 other riders. So in a good position. This will suit him well. He's probably trying to thin the field out a bit, testing them every now and again, then being sensible, dropping back, sheltering where he can. And he's up out of the saddle. Should probably have a helmet on though. Might make you a bit more aerodynamic. So 22.1k, 30 minutes in. Stoneham still right up at the front of this race, just goes over the top. There's downhill of 4-5%. The Jury is, can I tell her, about a minute behind. Oh, no, it disappears again. And about 51 seconds behind Jury are the Chasing Bees, if Zwift is reporting it correctly at least. Thank you, Brian, for telling me it seems to be working okay. Only just spotted your message. Try. Okay, still with Jury at 22.2 kilometers, 31 minutes in, moving back through the field. I think Jury was likely to stay with that group, but here they are, the Chasing Bees. Empson still there with Davis, Kalik, Campbell, all vying for position. Now is the time to make those decisions, those difficult decisions they must make, unless you all want a bunch sprint yet again. But I'd like to see someone make an attack, and I think a couple of these riders are more than capable. Kalik is certainly capable if he's got his head switched on and feels like it, but he won't want to be risking his yellow jersey in the league at this stage. But there are more races left. So let's check the B riders. Are they all still together? Well, clearly Kalik is. Campbell is in there. Lancia, nice to see he's still holding on up the hills. And as I said, Lancia is the one to watch following his win on Thursday evening. He'll be feeling good about that. And as long as he didn't go mad on the training over the weekend or today. I saw lots of the riders out earlier today on Zwift warming up, checking out the course. Some putting out quite a bit of power actually. A bit too close to the start of the race, but nonetheless they're all quite experienced. They know what they're doing. They know what suits them. Here is Lancia and Campbell, Davis, all still together in this very select group of riders. And in fact, just looking at the numbers from Thursday evening, Lancia put out 3.8 watts per kilo. Kalik though, for him a very risky 4.1, and you know what that means. 4.1, well, that's pushing you up to Cat A, I'm afraid. I'm sure the BCC committee will decide on that fairly soon, but it looks pretty close. And then of course the competition becomes a rather different thing for him, and that might indeed be Davis's tactic. May not have to write the rules again, but he may just be forcing Kalik to push out more power than he needs to tip him over the edge into Cat A, where he probably won't win every race, and thus Davis will move forward in the points. Cunning plan if he can make it happen. But at the moment, Kalik at 2.8 watts per kilo, Lancia sitting in there at 2.4. So what I was going to say is Lancia performed exceptionally well in terms of his power to weight ratio. This is a course that suits those with a high power to weight ratio. There's some rolling bits here and there. There are some flat sections, but there is that one hill. But it's an opportunity for those with the power to take advantage. Thompson's still in there as well from GGCC, looking quite strong. O'Brien maintaining his gap in Group 3, 34 seconds further back, looking much more comfortable with a group of riders around him rather than being all by himself, which is, I think, something that does not suit that rider well. And just looking at some of the bikes that the riders have got, quite a lot of Tron bikes out, and people have made some interesting choices. In fact, there are as many different bikes as there are different kits in this group of riders, but they will all have chosen a bike that they believe to be suitable for this course, and more importantly one they can afford. But behind Brian now, in fact just while I see him on screen, Cullen, by himself, not good. Looks like White has pulled 13 seconds ahead. Oh, straight through the middle of that boulder, that can't, oh, that looks a bit uncomfortable. He took a shortcut, that was cheating. Hopefully the committee spotted that. And is he going to go across the grass there? He is, straight across the grass. I think the new rules that come into force soon don't allow that sort of thing. In fact, that's a better approach. Those riders in front of him just disappeared. In fact, there's Cullen now, 2 seconds behind White. Well, that's must be the way Zwift's reporting. He can't move from 2 seconds to 13 seconds in the space of no time at all. And in fact, here we are with White, and looking behind, there is Cullen, and there goes Cullen. So again, we're getting some internet funnies, but oh, and there's me at the start. And I've got no other riders at all at this stage, so I'll keep talking about myself. Looking good on the start line there. Could easily win, but of course to do that I have to actually move across the start line, and I'm not about to do that. In fact, there, look at that, that's interesting. Invalid on screen. I don't, no idea what that means, but there are lots of them. Some problem clearly. This is most frustrating. I'd like to get at least one rider, one race out without all these sorts of problems going on. Mayhew Smith at 24.1 kilometers. He's not by himself, if that's what you're seeing on screen. There are collections of riders around him, but again, it looks as if there are connectivity problems, and that's what I'm seeing at this end. Yes, I'm seeing lots of connectivity issues. Why? I don't know. Internet is working as it should, and I'm monitoring that separately. But anyway, different problem. And here we go, back to rider N valid. For fear of missing out on all the action, in fact if this keeps up I will stop recording and stop the live broadcast. Who have we got here? Langen with Shannon at 23.8k, 37 minutes into this race. Still the same gap to, I think they're group 3 or 4. Still the same gap to group 3. And I was just about to tell you what that was, and all the riders disappear again. O'Brien 25.9k, Davis 26.6, about 12k left. So by the looks of it, Lance here, Kalik and Thompson from GGCC. In fact, there's Purdy from GGCC 46 seconds further back. But I like to call out the GGCC riders when I can. All still together. .27 kilometers, 38 minutes. And they all disappear again. Come on, internet, sort yourself out. Empson's looking good actually. I think he seems to be getting a bit stronger, been out on lots of rides in the road I've seen recently. Nope, it's still not settling down. Doubt in a few seconds they'll all disappear again. But let's try and keep the commentary going as best I can from what I can see. So Cleek 27.5k, and as soon as the rider list comes back again I'll move forward to the front and see if I can see what's happening in category A. Stoneham and Jury. No riders on course at the moment. That's not useful. Okay, I have switched to a different broadband connection, and it is nowhere near as fast, but it might work a little bit more reliably. Let's just check and see what's happening. Doesn't seem to be working too well, but anyway, we'll move on, do what I can. And looking up at the front of the field, there was a rider that stopped there, passing Langen. Littlewood is still with Shannon at about 26.5 kilometers. At least the rider, at least the connection may not be as fast, but it seems a bit more reliable. Trying to get towards the front now. Mayhew, Smith, O'Brien again, and in fact here they are on this climb. This is what I wanted to catch. Lancia, let's see how Lancia is doing. Lancia's moved to the back of the field at 28.7 kilometers on this climb. He looks to be suffering a little bit, but as is Campbell. Both of the big riders are together. They know what to expect from this climb. Thompson is just 1 second ahead of them. Empson is pulling away, Kalik's pulling away, Davis is pulling away as well. O'Brien 43 seconds, 42 seconds behind. He's closing the gap, but he is probably still on the flat and hasn't quite hit the steep part of the slope yet. So Lancia and Campbell have gone pop on this hill. Kalik is 10 seconds further up the field, along with Davis, and I would imagine Empson's in here as well. There is Kalik. Quite a collection ahead of him and quite a collection behind, so he's holding his position. In fact, Davis is pulling. That is Davis ahead in the yellow. He's pulling away. This is not something he wants to see at this stage of the race. Not something at all. In fact, if he doesn't dig deep right now and bridge this gap, this could be all over for Kalik. and he's not responding. Davis is pulling away, but is not managing to hold on to the group ahead of him, and he needs to be careful as well, or he will be isolated and quickly drop back towards Kalik. He's still pushing out more power than Kalik though. Kalik is drifting off. Now a 7-second gap. This is a good ride for Davis. He's up out of the saddle just as they go over the top. He's doing that little push over the top of this climb, and he's pushing out 350 watts. Heartbeat is close to max for him, so a great performance, and just 5 seconds ahead. In fact, in that group on screen now is Dury. He's now 8 seconds ahead of Kalik. That was a great attack from Davis. He's definitely concerned about his number 2 position in the league. He has to be careful. Kalik's closing the gap slightly. It's down to 6 seconds. Let's have a quick check at the front of the field, see what's going on with Stoneham. Is he still up front? He is. Stoneham now at 31.7 kilometres. Sorry, that's the dog in the background. Oh, shoot. Stoneham is now in this small group of riders. He's now 2 minutes ahead of Dury. There he is, looking comfortable on the front. Again, I suspect just testing the riders around him. He won't want to go just at this stage, but the last hill that he might have taken advantage of has just gone. Certainly a big enough hill to make a significant difference, 32.2k, and the race of course is 38.2 kilometers long. Dury now 2 minutes 3 seconds further back in the field, and by the looks of it, let's just see the gap from Dury to the front Cat B riders. Oh, something's gone on here. Kalik has missed that. There was a response from a counter-attack from Kalik by the looks of it. Closed that gap that went up to 10 seconds between him and Davis. He's now in the front. Davis is drifting a little bit back towards the back of this group, looking for a rest. His heartbeat and power certainly suggests that's what he's doing. Kalik really should take advantage of this now. He's closed the gap. Maybe Davis went a little bit too early. Maybe not though. He may well have worn out Kalik. Let's see what happens. Very difficult to tell at this stage. Both riders together, both pushing out similar power at 31.4 kilometers, 7k to the finish, and behind them Thompson and Empson actually. So they did not survive that attack from Kalik and Dave. Empson, I was kind of hoping he might beat Davis today, but he's now 14 seconds adrift. In fact, now up to 28 seconds adrift from Davis. So it's a huge gap that just suddenly appeared. But he is with Thompson from GGCC. But even further back, Campbell and Lance here are now maybe 50 seconds behind Kalik and Davis together. Not gone well for the big riders of the team. Or I should say, really, not a course that seems to be not a course that is suiting them. Let me just check on this internet connection. Still not great, but at least it should be doing something on screen, so I hope you're seeing something. Yep, thank you Brian, I can see it's dropping out a lot. So here we are, 31.7k. I think we'll stay towards the front of this race now as the riders come into the closing stages. Stoneham 34.9k. And everything's disappeared on the screen. There we are, under one of the ocean tunnels. That was why, just looking at it from above. 35.3k. Stoneham still up the front. Jury now 2 minutes 18 seconds behind Stoneham, still with the same group by the looks of it, and that group is clear of any other riders. She is maintaining the gap with the chasing bees by the looks of it, which is a great result. And mentioning the chasing bees, where are they? Let's see if we can find them. There they are. About 38 seconds further back. So in effect, of course, as a reminder, the B group started 1 minute behind category A, and that gap is now less than 1 minute. So of course they are effectively ahead, or they are ahead of Jury, I should say, not necessarily Stoneham at the moment. I think that's 2 minutes. No, Stoneham is pulling away. So Kalik and Davis on the downhill. What is their approach? Both in the super tuck. There's Davis and Kalik right next to each other in yellow, just towards the front of this group. And their group, just this collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders, whatever it is. And Empson now, 37 seconds further back, a huge gap, and that gap is increasing, still continuing to increase. And it looks as if Lancia and Campbell are responding. They have closed the gap with Empson slightly, down to 11-12 seconds. In fact, are we seeing a split there? In fact, we are. Lancia, one of his classic attacks, but Campbell's not letting him go. Both of them sprinting downhill. Lancia into the super tuck. Campbell not giving up, still pushing on at 10 watts per kilo. He's going to close this gap. What a great counter-attack from Campbell, taking a breather in the super tuck for the moment, but he has some momentum and speed and is closing the gap rapidly. And he is back, I think, with Lancia. Where have they gone? There we are. In fact, oh, this is great. Look at that. Straight past Lancia, and he's not even pedaling. Lancia is having to get up out of the saddle to respond. He's done just that. He now thinks he can sit behind Campbell. Is he going to push ahead? This could be an exciting race, watching these two at the end. In fact, they're now only 9 seconds away from Empson. Can we see Empson on screen ahead? Not quite yet. A little bit beyond vision. But what a great attack from these two riders, clearly playing against each other, neither giving in, both wanting to get the win. There is Empson at 34.8, Kalik at 35.4. Is Davis with him? In fact, can't see Davis. Can't believe he's not there. In fact, he is there. There he is. Yes, the two are together. The two yellow and black riders. And Jury at 36.5. And where is Stoneham? Where is Stoneham? There he is. Stoneham 7th place at the moment. 37.7 kilometers. The total distance is 38.2. Stoneham in a great spot right at the moment, just sitting behind these other riders, moving slowly up through the field. He'll be looking ahead. There is one rider off the front at the moment. That's a big gap to catch in about 300 meters. They're going to go around this, I think it's a right-hand turn, I hope. Yes, there it is. Then there's a left, another right, and there are the start pens on the right-hand side where they began this race 52 minutes ago. So they've completed this second part of the race much faster